Hello, today we'll be going over estimating measurements. So here in the first example we have figure A is a rectangle prism, and then it asks us to envision that this is a building and what is the best measurement or units for this building. So since the building, much like a skyscraper or a house, is fairly large, and the units we're going to need to use for it are going to be large as well. So if you live inside the U.S., you're going to be using the American Imperial System, which are feet or yards. But if you use the outside of the U.S., you're going to be using the metric system, which are meters or kilometers. Which here for buildings, we're going to say that the best units is going to be yards, meters, or feet. Then we have a shoebox, where a shoebox is small compared to a building and is only about this big. So we're not going to be needing that large of units. So here the best units to use is going to be inches and centimeters. And the conversion rate from yards to feet is going to be 1 yard is equal to 3 feet and 1 feet is equal to 12 inches. So 3 feet is equal to 36 inches. For figure B, we have a cylinder, and to ask us for the best measurement for a coffee cup. And here we're going to be finding the best unit to measure the volume of the cup. So since a coffee cup is fairly small, or not that big, which that high usually, we're going to be used as ounces or milliliters. Now these are measurements used to measure volume, not length or mass. So here we have the industrial drum or trash can as an example. So here, since it's larger than a coffee cup, we're going to be using gallons or liters as our measurements or best measured units to measure the volume of a trash can or industrial drum. And the conversion from gallons to quarts are 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts, 4 quarts are equal to 8 pints, and 16 cups are equal, or 8 pints is equal to 16 cups. And so 16 cups is equal to 1 gallon. Figure C is a triangular prism, and here we're going to be trying to solve for what's the best unit to weigh this object. So we have a drinking glass container. And since it's not that big, we're going to be using, or heavy, we're going to be using grams. Now, however, for an engine part container, such like as an engine block, we're going to be using pounds and kilograms, since that object is fairly large. And we wouldn't want to use grams, since we would have too many grams. An example would be, bringing it back to the building, you wouldn't use centimeters to measure the length of a skyscraper, because that would just, it wouldn't seem practical. Figure D is a rectangle, and it asks us to measure or use the best measurement unit for a desk. And a desk, the best unit would be feet or inches, since it's large enough to be using feet, but also small enough to where you could use inches. Then we have a football field. We can use an American football field, for example, where the distance traveled are used in yards are used. So of course we can use yards to measure that, or we could use feet or meters. City boundary limits. If you're ever driving on the highway, you can see that there's usually 60 miles per hour is a speed limit, or outside of the U.S. you have a speed limit used in kilometers per hour. So the city limit boundaries, the best measurements would either be miles or kilometers. Here on the bottom right we have some of the conversions that you can use, which is either English or meter system. So some of the most common mistakes is forgetting in general the English or customary metric systems, the wrong size of an object being measured. So you might think that a industrial trash can might be just the regular size trash cans. So you might use a smaller unit, but because it says industrial trash can, it's much larger, so you're going to want to use larger units. Thank you for watching this video tutorial, and keep on learning.